My name is Peter Myers, also known as Spartan Bricks Online, and this is Minas Tirith Under Siege. This is a build that I put together about 3 years ago for a collaboration online called The Third Age collaboration, which is a Middle-earth collab. But I touched it up and brought it to Brick Rodeo this year. And so it's basically depicting the castle of Minas Tirith, the city of Minas Tirith, specifically its main front gate from the third movie in The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, where the armies of Mordor are coming to attack the people of Minas Tirith in Gondor. And so you can see the orc army approaching the main gate, and Gondor soldiers and rangers defending the parapets above. And so that's the primary part of the build here.
Yeah. So when you're working on a build like this, how do you decide on scale? What parts of the build kind of dictated that?
Right. So this one I tried to get as true to minifigure scale as possible because in the movies this is such an iconic scene where the orcs are battering down the gate eventually. And so the scale of it was important to me to get as close to right as close to correct as possible. And so I kind of looked at scale images online and did some basic measurements of what a human proportion to the gate would be in the movie, and tried to scale that to minifigure scale. And so that was my primary driver for how I scaled everything.
And the gate there, if you can look beyond Woody, there is one of the best parts of the build. Just the details that you put inside there. So talk about kind of the way you captured that look.
Sure. So the main gate is an important feature of this build. That's the focus of it. And so I basically took inspiration from the images and the how the director or how the scene was filmed in Lord of the Rings and how the door was actually created there. And so I just used a lot of dark bluish gray and old dark gray pieces for the soldiers and for the rest of the detailing. And so the door actually opens up, not fully, but mostly. And so the spears on top are representing kind of a medieval gate, like a top part of the gate. And so it was mostly just pulled directly from the movie for my inspiration for that.
Another thing that stands out here is the armor on some of the soldiers on top of the walls here. Where'd you get those parts from?
Yeah, so those are not official LEGO,
okay.
as you can tell. They're from AliExpress, actually, so it's from a Chinese company. But I used official LEGO parts for the figures and everything, but just for the helmets and armor, I thought it looked neat. So that's hence why I used it in the build.
And then for the walls and the towers itself here, talk about some of the design elements there, because you've got angled sections. Just the size of it in general can be difficult to achieve.
Right. So there's a lot of angles involved. A lot of the structure in there is fairly flimsy, so there's not too much. You can move it around a little bit, but it's still pretty pretty light connections in there. But in terms of the towers, I just had a lot of 1x2 white plates. And so from Pick a Brick, and so that was how I kind of did most of the design, as well as some of the modified plates here.
So those are tiny, plates all inside there. That's a very parts-intensive building.
It is. Unfortunately, that was a last-minute thing where I didn't have much time to get the build done before having to photograph it, and so the only part I had really was 1x2 plates. But it adds a little bit of texture, So I can say that after doing all that work, it gives a little bit of good texture to it, I think.
And then there's some other rooms on the sides and the back as well, right?
There are, yes. So I can spin it around for you guys to see if you want. But essentially, I'll move it here. So, what's that?
We can go back there if it's easier.
Okay. Well, here's a good angle. So some of the rooms on the inside are just depicting the interior of the main wall, and so there's some civilians there running from the incoming orc horde. So just a little bit of detail on the walls that I like to include to kind of make it more immersive. And then there's a similar thing on the other side, which is not too exciting. But then the back, still have to finish the inside of the towers here, but we have a little mariachi band with a fallen over violinist.
Oh no, it's a domino effect.
It is a domino effect here. So, just a little bit of fun for Brick Rodeo this year. And so the back of the build was something I also wanted to make 360 pretty much as well. And so I took creative liberties for the back, the white parts of the wall, but in terms of the back part of the gate, it's pretty accurate to the movie, what it looks like in the movie with the chains. And so there's a scene in the movie where a giant troll batters down the gate, and the chains are kind of a iconic part of that. So I wanted to incorporate that a little bit, as well as some of the Gondor soldiers getting ready to protect the city from the incoming orcs, and a little Gollum, just because no Lord of the Rings build is complete without a Gollum Easter egg.
And what do we have in the other tower on this side?
The other tower, we have a janitor sweeping the floors, and a ranger and another soldier getting ready for battle, as well as a bit of an armory. And so just a little bit of a floor technique that we slapped together last minute. But that's about it for the interior parts.
Yeah, the whole build came together very nicely. You've got a lot of the iconic figures there. The architecture itself looks very nice. So thanks for bringing it out to the show.
Of course. Thank you guys for interviewing me.